Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala an-nabiyil ameen. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa tabi'ina lahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. Respected Dr. Muhammad Faruk Abdullah, our guest speaker today, our management of Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami, and today's guest, online guest, lecturers, students, researchers, whoever joined today with us in this session. First of all, we would like to welcome you to this session, and we thank you very much for joining us today. Before we begin the session, we would like to apologize because today's guest speaker was supposed to be Professor Dr. Yunus Sawalhi, who was supposed to talk about smart contracts in Islamic finance. But due to an emergency, he is unable to join us. So sorry, it was a little bit problem in internet. I think it's clear now, Dr. Farooq.
Yeah, it's fine now. You can move on. Proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. So what I said that Professor Dr. Yunus Sawali, inshallah, is going to lecture on a specific topic in very soon, in coming weeks, inshallah, and we'll inform you about that. So as you know that our Islamic Economics Association is trying to promote these Sharia compliant models and methodologies and strategies by conducting seminars, programs, conferences on various fields in Islamic banking and finance. So Alhamdulillah, in regard to that, today's session, we got, Alhamdulillah, I just contacted Dr. Faruk Abdullah just a while ago, and I asked him to replace and to give a lecture on any important topic. And Alhamdulillah, we got a very important and very contemporary topic, which is issues of gambling in contemporary financial dealings. Issues of gambling in contemporary financial dealings, a Sharia perspective. So this is, in fact, very important topic, Alhamdulillah. So, as we know, Dr. Farooq delivered previously, I think, 2 sessions, who is currently a senior lecturer at the School of Banking and Finance. Faculty of Business and Management, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Malaysia. He obtained his PhD in Shariah, Islamic Economics from the University of Malaya in 2016. He also completed Chartered Islamic Finance Professional from International Center for Education in Islamic Finance in SIV in 2012. Dr. Faruk obtained his bachelor in Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh from the International Islamic University in Malaysia. Since then, he is a of business in Islamic finance, Islamic microfinance, and Islamic wealth and debt management, and many more. And we know Dr. Faruk has many publications, and he also published books, and then he's a very well-known expert now, alhamdulillah, in this field. So we are very much honored to have Dr. Faruk today to address this important issue, important topic, issues of gambling in contemporary financial dealings, a Sharia perspective. So please welcome Dr. Faruk.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyil ameen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'alul huzna idha syi'ta sahla bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Amin ya rabbal alamin. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Mahyuddin to call me to invite me to this program. And I believe it would have been much better if Professor Dr. Yunus could make it, because he is my professor as well, alhamdulillah. However, I tried to replace him just to share with all of you very important that I believe for all of us to need to discuss, or we need to be concerned of. So without further ado, let me share with you my slide. Okay, Dr. Mahyuddin, can you see my slide? Okay.
Yeah, fine. It's very clear.
So as we know, okay, the topic is on gambling issues in contemporary financial dealings. So in modern day finance, not only in modern day, even in the past, there are many issues which are related to gambling, and gambling is something which is not only something wrong in Islamic finance, but even from an ethical perspective, it is something not acceptable. So my discussion will be on gambling first, in order to understand the issues of gambling in the contemporary finance or in the transactions. We first need to go to the classical concept of gambling, the Sharia concept, and what are the real parameters that the Sharia provides in relation to gambling. So once we have a clear understanding on that, and then I'll come to some contemporary issues like speculation in share markets, different types of competitions like lucky draws, and some other financial products like prize bonds and others. So, and then we'll discuss the elements of gambling in those transactions. So let us first look at what is gambling in Sharia. Okay, the two words used in Sharia to to denote gambling. One is called al-maisir, another one is called al-qimar. These are the two Arabic words used, while maisir is used in the Quran and qimar is mainly used in the hadith or in the prophetic narrations. So this maisir is from the word yusr, is means easy, or um, technically it is something to gain easily available wealth or acquisition of wealth by chance, whether or not it deprives the others right. So the concept of maisir in Sharia is to gain something without any with ease, with by chance, without working for it or without paying any equivalent for it. That is the concept of maisir in the Sharia. But in the concept of maisir, it doesn't matter whether it deprives others or not. However, that concept of depriving others or not, it comes under the concept of al-qimar. So the word qimar means is a game of chance. Okay, where one gains at the cost of others. A person puts his money or part of his wealth at stake, wherein the amount of money at risk might bring huge sum of money or might be lost or damaged. So here in qimar, someone needs to put his property or wealth, and then by chance if he wins, he will get a lot of money. If he lose, he will have a huge loss of his wealth. So these are the two concepts of in the Sharia that we have found that can give understanding of gambling. So the relation between these two concepts, if we look at maisir and qimar, so we can see that the maisir is something, a broad term, is an umbrella term, okay, and qimar is part of maisir. So maisir is something to achieve something by chance without any equivalence, without any compensation, without working for it, or without taking any risk, or without means any liability or against it. That is a maisir, and qimar is part of that maisir, which is also gaining something but at the expense of others. And of course, qimar is the worst type of maisir, where someone gains at the expense of others. So from this definition and what the scholars said about the maisir and qimar, we can derive the three parameters that from that we can know that if these three components are available in any transaction, we can say that these are gambling, or these are maisir. The first, the existence of the subject matter or asset from both sides of the gambler. So there should be a subject matter. Those who gamble, they usually put something at stake, okay, to either to win or lose, and then the winner party gains something valuable from the loser. This is another criteria, that someone gains at the expense of other. And number three is entitlement of benefit without any compensation or reward. So now number 2 and 3 is is complementary. So if someone doesn't gain anything at the expense of other, but he gets something without any compensation. The Arabic word is used by the fuqaha is iwad, is without any equivalence. Someone gains anything without any equivalence, without any responsibility of any liability or any investment or anything. So that is the all without any reward. So if we can find these elements in any transaction, we can say that there is an element of my or qimar in that. And the prohibition of this gambling, we can find in 2 stages in the Quran. At the first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Yas'alunaka 'anil khamri wal maisir, qul fihima ithmun kabiru wa manafi'u lin-nas, wa ithmuhuma akbaru min naf'ihima. So at first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that there are benefits, and there are sins in it, but the sin is more than the benefit. So this is the first step of prohibition. And the second, it was a strict prohibition that clearly declares that maisir is haram. It said, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu innamal khamru wal maisir wal ansab wal azlamu rijsum min amali shaitan fajtanibuhu la'allakum tuflihun." That, oh, you believe, indeed, intoxicant and gambling, or maisir and ansab and azlam, all the stone altars and divining arrows and all other things are the are the work of shaitan, and avoid it that you may be successful. So it's a clear prohibition, and from that the scholars all agreed unanimously that maisir is something which is prohibited and haram in the Sharia. And also we have a hadith that said, if anyone says to his friend, "Come here and we'll do kimar," I'll do kimar with him, means we'll gamble, then he should give sadaqah because he has done something wrong, based on the hadith from Bukhari and Muslim. So with that, we can conclude that both the maisir and kimar are prohibited in the Sharia, and and we also understood what are the criteria for something to say that this is gambling and maisir. So now one may have asked, so what are the wisdom behind the prohibition of this maisir and kimar? Why is prohibited? So as I said, it's not the gambling is something. It's not only wrong in Sharia, but it is something wrong from ethical perspective and even from the secular perspective. Especially when this reaches to a stage that we call addiction. It's a gambling. Is also a kind of addiction. So if we look at the Sharia perspective, the prohibitions, the wisdom behind is the tendency for human being to achieve something out of nothing. So to prohibit that and to encourage them to work. So those who do gambling, they kind of grow the tendency that not to work, just to gain something without working hard, and it is a loss of wealth. So those who we can know from many of the examples that people, they lose millions of wealth because of gambling, and it doesn't actually add any value to the economy. Of course, it adds some kind of value in terms of maybe the businesses or the government taxes, but in general, it doesn't add any money, any wealth to the economy. And of course, it creates animosity and hatred among the people. And here I'm sharing with you, I'm giving you two links of the documentary you can find in YouTube. The first is a documentary on a person who lost millions in US on gambling. So he used to gamble and he lost his family and everything because he was addicted to gambling. And the second documentary is from BBC News. It's an experiment where from the medical perspective, where the doctors, they put a person in the lab, and they check his brain's movement when he gambles, and they have found the gambling addiction is similar to any other types of addiction. So if you have time, you can see these two documentaries. So now, when we, as I said, we need to be clear on the concept of gambling from Sharia perspective. So when we talk about gambling or maisir, we also have a Sharia concept which is called al-gharar. Al-gharar, which is meaning is uncertainty in contract. According to Sharia, if in any contract there is uncertainty of price and uncertainty of the commodity or the delivery, it is prohibited, and the concept is called gharar. So now, whether there is a relation between these two concepts or not, gharar it has a similarity with the Maisir. It coincides with the Maisir because both are related to uncertainty on over gain and loss. In Maisir, we don't know whether we'll gain or we'll lose. However, Garar is something related to in buying or selling transaction. It's not the objective of a product. Rather, it is a part of it. Means somebody wants to sell or wants to buy. That was his objective, but it didn't fulfill one of the conditions of to be fixed, the commodity or others. So Garar is not the purpose, but gambling is something which is a purpose of a transaction, of a contract. So that's where it is different, where to gain something without any equivalent is the motive. So now we go back to come back to the contemporary issues and applications. So when we talk about Maisir gambling, we need to also consider one concept of competition or musabaqah, or which is called competition, and that has a very close relation with this gambling, because most of the time it's based on competition and who is the winner or loser. So the Sharia scholars also talk about this competition, and it's a contest between the two or more individuals from where we strive for a good goal, and either for an award or without an award. So competition is just a group of people, they contest to win or to get an award, or may not have an award. So now there are different types of competitions, and some are close to gambling, some are considered gambling or Maisir, and some are not. So if there is a competition with a prize, then it should, and that prize is provided by both of the competing parties, then it will be al-Maisir or gambling. So if there is a contest and all the participants or all the contestants, they pay some money, and then the winner will get all the money and the losers will lose. So it is Maisir. And however, there are other kinds of competitions, like competition without a prize is not a Maisir. Competition with a prize provided by third party, by the government, is not from the contestants, so it's not Maisir also. And if a competition with a prize provided by one of the competing parties is not Maisir as well, means that there are 10 contestants, and among the 10, one of them, he sponsored the awards, but not the others. So in that case, it is not Maisir as well. So the Maisir or gambling, the prohibition, the competition which is prohibited is the one that is the prize is provided by both of the competing parties or more, and they lose if they cannot win. So scholars also put some parameters for a competition to be permissible, that it should be for a noble purpose, and the means and the environment also should be lawful. Okay, and it does not involve any Maisir, means those who join, they should not pay any entry fee and entry fee, or they should not lose that if they cannot win. And it does not harm others. So we know that there are some competitions of harming the animals, the human being, okay, and there are some competition where they show, the private parts. So all these, the pageant competitions are not the Sharia compliant, that because it triggers the evil desires, and also the competition which distract people from religious duties. So some of the competitions that's too long, and it doesn't, it distract people from performing prayer. So that also should be prohibited based on the scholars' conclusion. So now, so if we look at Maisir and risk, after we talking about competition, so we can sometimes find there might have some relation with the risk with the Maisir. Look, so there are two types of risk if we look at it from finance perspective. One is the entrepreneurial risk, or we can say business risk, okay. And another one is the unnecessary risk, which is not required in a business. People just hope to take that risk with a higher gain. That is unnecessary. This is these types of risk is actually categorized as MISIR. That also can be categorized as speculation. So I'll go deep into the speculation afterwards. So before I go there, I just quote from one of the famous scholar of Shariah of Islam, with Ibn Taymiyyah. He talked about the risk. And he said the risk falls into two categories: a commercial risk, where one would buy a commodity in order to sell it for profit and rely on Allah for that. This risk is necessary for merchants, and although one might occasionally lose, but this is the nature of commerce. Okay, so this is the first. And the other type of risk is that of gambling, which implies eating wealth for nothing. That is what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited. So there are two types of risk. He said one is the business risk, and that is in line with the business, and it is and for that risk, someone needs to rely on Allah, and it is in line with the Sharia. But the second type of risk is the risk of is gambling. The people take the risk which is not necessary, and with the hope of huge profit, and without any equivalent for that, or without any compensation for that profit. Okay, so now when we talk about it, so now in the contemporary share markets, we have the very hot topic, which is speculation, where people like to buy and sell and gain profit. So whether it is MISIR or not, whether it is gambling. So speculation, as we know, is generally is the practice of engaging in risky financial transaction in an attempt to profit from short-term fluctuation in the market value of a tradable financial instrument, rather than attempting to profit from the underlying financial attributes embodied in the instruments, such as capital gains or dividends or etc. So when people speculate, they usually try to buy with a lower price, and then when the price goes up, and then they sell. Sometimes they can do within few minutes, just to buy and sell. So they do not intend actually to invest into that company, rather than they just want to gain profit from the fluctuation of the price. So that they don't intend to have a capital gain or dividend from the company. They don't intend the concept of musharakah, business profit and loss sharing in that. So that's what we understood as a speculation in the share market. So it's just a scenario. So when the share price of a particular entity falls, then the speculators rush to buy by expecting the price will increase later. And when the price goes up, then the speculators will sell it back to the stock market. So this is just an example of a speculation that happens in share trading. So this even the speculation can happen in others also. We see people play with the gold price, and even we have Forex, conventional online Forex trading and others, where mostly they intend to speculate. So what is the Shariah's solution for that? Is it good or is bad? Is it Sharia compliant? Is the speculation MISIR or not? So if we look at the MISIR, so we can see from one perspective that the speculation and MISIR may appear to be the same nature. Why? Because the speculators enter the share market hoping for good luck, like in MISIR. So they mostly rely on luck, and it's a huge risk, and it is and it's mostly based on luck or risk of loss. At the same time, either they hope for a huge profit or loss, and that's mostly based on luck. However, speculation is different from Maisir because it does not merely depend on luck and gaining at the expense of others. So this is a very important aspect here is speculation is not always gaining at the loss of others. As speculators enter the market with careful consideration as to the factor of movement of prices. So they study the company, they see the future potentials, they see the prospect of the company, so they buy their shares. And then when it is when the price goes up, then they sell it, but it doesn't mean the other party is losing, because the person who buys it, maybe the share price will further go up. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the speculators, they gain at the expense of others. Okay, so based on this concept, in Malaysia, the Sharia Advisory Council, they have allowed speculation. So in Malaysian share market, if you buy a share and then after a few minutes, if you sell it, it is okay. It is fine, and they do not give us the detail of their rulings, but what we can understand that they not only see on the concept of musharaka, but they look at the perspective of mal, that when you buy a share, it is something, a property. So you buy it, and then so it's halal for you to you just buy and then sell. Is any kind if you look at the concept of al-bay, so people are free to buy and then immediately sell. There is no profit and that. So that is the Malaysian stand. However, there are still scholars, they argue, or there are a group of scholars, or there are some jurisdictions, they will not allow shares to buy and selling immediately. Rather, they will allow for 1 day to hold, or at least within the 3 days, in order to avoid this concept of gambling or maisir, means T plus 2. So that a group of scholars, they argue, that's their opinion. So is the scholars' position is actually based on the market situation, and whether it is really something good or not, because they also look at the concept of maslahah and also the outcomes of speculation, because sometimes merely the speculation can cause a lot of things in the market. It can lead to the market instability, and also sometimes it doesn't bring any maslahah. It doesn't really add wealth, right? So from that perspective, the scholars, there are a group of scholars, they put a restriction on it. But then again, we cannot actually make a clear borderline, clear-cut rulings on speculation that this is haram or this is halal. So the discussion and also the application of this halal and haram borderline is still not clear among some of among the Sharia scholars. But so far, in the Malaysian Sharia scholars, they are okay on the speculation, especially on the share market. They allow it only in the context of share markets, but not in other contexts. Now, with the speculation, that was actually the most hot topic. And then there are some other things that we do. As one of them is a lottery, or sometimes we have lucky draws. That so usually sometimes they have a noble purpose, that they buy in lottery. People sell and just to sometimes to raise fund for some noble purpose, but it is prohibited in the Sharia, and it is also maisir, because people pay with the hope to win, and if only a few of them they win, but the rest they lose. So it is clearly Maisir. However, there are some lucky draws, what we call that. If you subscribe to this, or if you even sometimes some programs, if you join, and then if you join, and then some of them they get rewards. So it is allowed because the participants, they don't have to pay for it. So as long as the participants, the contestants, they don't have to pay anything, then it is allowed. So we can make a lucky draw or whatsoever. But when we have to pay for it, then it will be a problem. Even sometimes in some sales, so if we buy this and that products, whether it is Maisir or not, also there is questions, there are also debate. But the thing is, it's not Maisir because we buy something with money, so we do not lose anything. But only those though among the buyers, only some of them will get that reward. So this is allowed because those who do not get the reward, they do not lose anything. So that is fine. But if they have to pay any subscription fee, so that may trigger the issue of Maisir. And then there are also some price carrying saving accounts. They are a saving account, or sometimes we can say price bonds. Okay, so these are the accounts that if we save money in those accounts, they will give us prices based on monthly or sometimes annual draws. So why it is whether it is allowed or not, there is a Sharia compliant version recently. They use based on the concept of mudarabah, profit and loss, where the bank will give the price based on its own money, so which is fine. However, if it is not based on the concept of mudarabah, but usually based on the concept of normal saving account, which is called loan. So if from that, and usually the bank will give price based on that money. So means that those who get price, the price is sponsored by the depositors, those who save in that account. So in that case, this will be gambling or Maisir. And also there is a riba because it is a loan contract. So if we give any benefit to the creditor in or any rewards against that loan, so it will be riba or interest. So that is prohibited. However, as I said, there is Islamic alternatives by some of the Islamic banks where they use the concept of mudarabah in those saving account, and the price is sponsored by the bank's money, not from the depositors' money. If it is from the depositors' money, so then it will trigger the issue of Maisir. And then this is the very hot topic among the youngsters nowadays, is the online Forex trading. So there are so many online platforms that they allow Forex trading through. So so far, most of them are conventional, and of course, the Sharia allows Forex with the condition that it should be on the spot. But most of these platforms, they will allow us to trade on margin. So if we pay 5%, and then we can get 100, and we can trade, and at the end of the day we have to pay, and if we don't pay, when we lose our the value means in our account, when it goes negative, so at that time that brokers, they will charge interest. Okay, so it is not only Maisir, but it is also riba based on the concept of by usaraf. And now there are some companies, they do say that they are Sharia compliant online Forex trading. But the thing is, and they say there is no riba and it is on spot basis, so that's fine. But there is still an amount of doubt because they are not regulated, means they are not regulated by any central bank or any Sharia. They do not have Sharia supervisors. They are not they are not under the Sharia governance. So that is still raised the to ensure how to ensure that they are really Sharia compliant. So in order to get confidence, maybe these online forex trading platforms need to appoint some Sharia advisors, or they may need to maybe have some auditors to report to the Sharia advisors, so that we can get more confirmation on this online forex trading. And so far in Malaysia, the National Fatwa Council has prohibited it. They didn't allow it because of the element of riba, garar, maisir. Okay, so based on the concept, the understanding of the secular platform for online forex trading. However, the forex trading platforms, the brokers, like recently I have seen Waqta FX, they claim that they have Sharia compliant platform, but they do not have any Sharia supervisors, or they are not regulated by any Sharia regulatory agencies like the Central Bank or Securities Commission. So we can still we do not have confidence to allow it as a Sharia compliant. So maybe we need to have further research, or maybe on these online forex trading platforms. And then finally, I will talk about the conventional insurance. Of course, we have the takaful, which is Sharia compliant, but the conventional insurance, along with riba and other issues, it is also maisir or gambling, because the gambling element is there, that when you become the policy holder, you buy a policy, so you gamble, because your gain is subject to chance, which is either there will be an accident or not, either there will be any calamity or not. So if it happens, then you gain. If it doesn't, you lose. So this is maisir at the first place, along with riba and other elements. And similarly, also is a garar, because we don't know when we are going to get our reward. So that's also garar and riba. So however, the glaring thing here is the al-maisir, or so gambling. So that's why the conventional insurance is prohibited in the Sharia. So these are all from me on. So I have discussed what is the Sharia concept of Sharia concept for gambling, which are maisir and al-qimar, and the Sharia parameters. And then I have talked about the competition, modern day competition, and when it can be gambling, talk about speculation, forex trading, and some other issues that involve maisir. So I hope it is beneficial, and if you have any question and any clarification, any comment, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faruk. MashaAllah, that was a very wonderful and informative session. Indeed, we benefited a lot. And I think we do have more than 180 participants from around the globe. So we wait for any comment or questions, so that we can welcome any questions or comment. Please, if you have any question or if anything to know about the specific topic, you can raise your hand or you may write your question. Mr. Mustafa. Mr. Mustafa, please welcome.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, please.
You know, the presentation is very, very informative and educative. Yeah, and for the first time, I came to know the difference between the, for the first time, I came to know the, meaning of gambling, and I also get to know it in the, contemporary business transaction. Okay, but the question is, in some countries, it's like it is imposed on us to deal with with this kind of riba. So okay, how can we avoid it, especially where we don't have any alternatives?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Yes, Dr. Habib.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Brother Mustafa. It was a really a timely question, and especially it's a question in many Muslim countries, and even, of course, in the non-Muslim countries, that where we are forced to involve in gambling and riba. So the first thing is, of course, we should try our best to not to involve with these transactions if we have any other way. If it is not a darurah, or if it is not a necessity for us, so that is the first I would recommend. Okay, that. And the second, okay, so if it is a darurah that you don't have any other way without it, and of course, the matter of darura is based on the situation. Then you know your situation better than anyone else. And there is a hadith. There's istafti qalbak walau yuftik al mufti, means you need to ask your heart whether even though there is a fatwa on it, so whether it is really a necessity for you or not. Okay, so when you think that it is a necessity, you need to get involved with it. So the thing is, if you get a non-halal income based on this maisir, or so you try to purify your income. So let's say you got some income from riba or from gambling. So you keep the capital which is not involved with riba. So you purify the income from riba or gambling, non-halal. So you take out of it and then give it to charity without the intention of having reward. So it is a kind of purification. So because you don't want to have this. So that is, and then of course we need to istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to pray. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, wa may yattaqillaha yaj'al lahu makhraja. Whosoever fears Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way out for him. So maybe when it is necessity, we can involve, and we try to avoid it. If we can't, then when we receive this non-halal income, we try to purify it. Okay, after the purification, we can take the halal version. So that is, I hope, it. And of course, in many of us, those who were sometimes in conventional banking or in conventional finance, but they intended to change to open. Even in Malaysia, many the leaders in Islamic finance, they were in conventional finance, but they had the intention to gradually to change, to open a small window and then gradually change more to Islamic finance. So if we have that intention, maybe we can go forward, inshallah. Okay, I hope it answered the question.
Thank you, Dr. Faruk.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Let's welcome Sister Umayya Al-Hajj. Sister Umayya Al-Hajj, please welcome. If you have any question. Hello, Sister Umayya. Okay, Brother Abdul Halim Yahya. Brother Abdul Halim Yahya, are you with us? Hello. Brother Abdul Halim Yahya.
I think there is a question here in the chat section. Somebody said,
Okay,
gambling
please
is
proceed, please.
intentional while riba is not. Do you agree? Well, of course, yeah, riba, yeah, it might be sometimes intentional, sometimes it's intentional. Usually, those who take riba, most of the time is intentional, but those who give, in sometimes in case it may happen that they are forced to do it. But gambling, yes, most of the time is intentional, people gamble, but in some cases, like sometimes if they give you your salary, or they give you bonus as a prize bond, for example, in some cases it may be unintentional, that maybe the employers they give you some shares, okay, that's not gambling, but maybe non-Sharia compliant, the shares that they give you as bonus, for example.
Thank you, Doctor. There are some questions in question and answer section. If you can read those questions, maybe you can answer a few of them which are relevant to the topic.
Yeah. Okay, can you pay entry fee in competition? There is one question. So entry fee, if it is used as as part of, like providing, for example, to provide food, to serve the food, or what we call to arrange the competition, so that entry fee is fine. But if that entry fee is used for giving reward or prizes, then it will lead to maisir. Okay, there are some entry fees, but these are just used to arrange the game, or to provide, to serve food, for example, or to arrange the place. That is okay.
I think Brother Ziad would like to ask something. Hello, Brother Ziad. Brother Ziad with us? Why there is hand? If you have no question, please don't raise your hand. Mr. Ammar. Mr. Ammar?
Yes, can I speak?
Yes. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Dr. Faruk and Mr. Muhyiddin. I enjoy your lectures all the time. My question is related to the points or prizes offered by the banks and by some companies like telecommunication companies. When you make spending or you pay the invoices on time, they give you points and you redeem those points as cash in back to the account. Yes. And for the banks, they also charge. They have for the credit cards, for example, they have an option to put full payment, so you don't go directly under for delay of payment. they don't charge for the delay. You have to pay back all the amount. So, and they also charge for the opening the account, and they charge for the issuing the credit cards. So they have separate charges other than the interest they take for keeping the cash with them. So those redeemed points, is it halal or not? Because they are not displaying where they get these prizes back to us.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, brother. It's a really good question, and we can see everywhere there's redeem points, and so in credit card, if we buy anything using, let's say it's an Islamic credit card. If we buy using the credit card, we get points, right? So there is the way they are actually encouraging us to use through our cards. So the more we swap our cards, the more points we get. Okay. So first thing, whether these points will be gambling, if we redeem these points, will be gambling or not. Okay. So my opinion on that, as I understood this, is they are not gambling, because you are not losing any money for it, right? You buy, you pay the same price. It's not that you pay less or more. So it's not gambling, but this is actually probably the credit card companies, they are paying, giving you these points from their own, because at a strategy of their marketing. Or maybe they also get some commission from those merchants, means from where you buy using the credit card. Okay, but it doesn't have the relation with you. Okay, so if you redeem these points, so it's fine. It's not gambling. And then in terms of the issue that you said, they asked for service charge and this. So if this service charge are because of the service provided, means, for credit cards, they have to have an annual service charge. So these are the service charge based on the concept of ujrah, which is fine. But if the service charge is charged based on the amount used, means based on the cash you withdraw, in proportion to that, then it can create doubt of riba, because they are taking service charge based on the money you use and the proportion of the money. So that will create the doubt of riba. Sometimes, and there are some credit cards that they will charge you service charge based on the cash you withdraw. Means if you withdraw cash, they will charge you, let's say, 2% of the cash withdrawn. So that actually creates the doubt, because it might be riba, because they are taking service charge, but the service is based on the money you withdraw. So it somehow looks like riba. But the service charge that they charge, like annual or because of the other services, okay, they provide, it is there's no issue on that. Those service charges are just fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, welcome, Brother Ammar. Okay, Brother Mohideen, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, there is a last question, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Faruk and Mohideen. Dr. Faruk, we were talking about Forex trading companies. You said they don't have advisors from Shariah scholars, you know. That's why we cannot trust them. Is there any, for example, Forex trading companies that you know they have because you said many of them, maybe there are some of them who have Sharia scholars. You can give us some name. And second question inside this question is how, without scholars, Sharia scholars,
how we can know, for example, according to their operations, if there's any way that we can trust these companies without knowing if there are scholars behind them or no, according to their operations, for example.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mustafa, brother Mustafa. Well, I don't know all those platforms, but I have so far known one that is a Waqta FX, and they said they are Sharia compliant. Yeah, but in their prospectus, or when I go through their company, they do not show that these are the Sharia advisors. But they do say that they do not charge interest for when your account goes negative. Means yeah, maybe you have, they do not allow margin okay, that they said, but that's why I still doubt whether, because they do not put any list of the Sharia advisors that's approved, as happens in the bank, you know, that at the end of the year they put annual report and they will sign. So when we trust the Sharia advisors, so we know that this bank is Sharia compliant because the Sharia advisors, they sign. So if this platform, they have Sharia advisors and they you know, sign and they give us assurance, it will be more than they just merely say. So means, as you said, is there any, for so far I didn't come to know. Maybe there is, but based on few I have gone through, I didn't find any that has Sharia advisors and they are giving assurance on the Sharia part. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
I
the
will look
presence
into
of
it. If I find, inshallah, we can share later on.
Thank you. Thank you. Only the last point. So the presence of Sharia scholars, that is the only way to trust any company, any forex company.
Not necessarily. The most trust we can gain when it is regulated under any regulators. Like in Malaysia, we trust if it is regulated under the bank, central bank, or under the Securities Commission. Okay, so because you know, they will check their annual reports, they will check their activities, so they will have audit. So, and they at the central level, they have Sharia advisors and they know the things. So if they come under those regulation, that will be more stronger. We'll feel more confidence on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Brother Mustafa, and thank you, Dr. Faruk. Dr. Faruk, if you have time, I think there are just two issues. I think it's quite important. Currently, we have such practice of some banks that in their Murabaha transaction, supplier will pay markup on behalf of customer. Actually, he makes the discount. And these banks inform customers that their Murabaha transactions are without markup. So, dear doctor, is it kind of speculation? Other banks disclose their markup to the customer.
Okay. MashaAllah, very good question.
This is what he meant, that the markup it's hidden, it's not disclosed. There are some banks they just disclose it. Some banks are keep it hidden like that.
Okay.
So is it a kind of speculation or not?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Very good question. So, is, you know that Murabaha is a trust sale. Okay, it's a bai'ul amana. You are a trust. It's a sale of trust. So the condition of Murabaha is you must disclose your profit, how much you're going to take profit. So if you don't, so it is not Murabaha anymore. However, in Sharia, it is not required that you have to disclose your profit. Because we have Bai'ul Muajjal, for example. In Bai'ul Muajjal, you are not, or Bai'ul Musawamah, the bank is not required to disclose the profit. So it is allowed for the bank if the bank does not want to disclose the profit, but don't name it Murabaha. But if you name it Murabaha, you should disclose the profit. But if you say it is Murabaha, you don't disclose the profit, so the contract will be invalid or fasid because it doesn't fulfill the condition of Murabaha. And also the thing that you mentioned at the beginning, that the seller, it will say say that it will not disclose. So that also can lead to not speculation, but rather is something will be considered as garar, or we can say like deception. Al-gish fil aqd means is a cheating in a contract that can fall under that, or it's a misrepresentation. Okay, not giving the true price. So that can have an issue. But for the banks, if they don't want to disclose, it's better name it something else. Name it by muajjal or by musawama. Don't name it as murabaha. According to like Mazhab Shafi'i, if you say murabaha, you must do murabaha. You cannot change other. The contract will be invalid. Okay. While some other scholars they still allow it, means you give one name and do other thing. We have Wadia Yadud Damana or concept. They are allowed, means the name is one and the thing is different. So, but according to like Shafi'i, it's not allowed, because if we name the contract, we have to follow that contract's condition. I think yes, I have answered it.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful answer. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Farooq. This is the last one, inshallah. Currently, I'm involving in working group of central bank, and the central bank is going to work out special regulation on market related to financial services, including for Islamic banking service. Could you please recommend which country has more advanced regulation related to Islamic banking marketing? Thank you very much. This is two questions from Mr. Abdul Rashid.
Yeah. All right. It's alhamdulillah. So it's a good news that your central bank is trying to accommodate Islamic finance. So if you ask me in terms of regulation, in terms of Sharia regulation, based on what my study, what I know, the Malaysian Sharia regulation is mostly regulated, means their system in terms of the Sharia governance and supervision, they are quite transparent, and we know. Only the issue is in Malaysia is that in some Sharia contracts, they took a flexible opinion based on Imam Shafi'i, like they allow Bay'ul Ina or in Tawarruk and some. But in terms of the operation perspective, I would say the Malaysian one is highly regulated. And then the first we can, in order to convert, you need to look at the standards, and the best that standards that you can look at is the AUFI standards, okay, accounting and auditing organizations for Islamic financial institutions. So they have standards if you want to convert a conventional bank to an Islamic bank. So they have standards to do that, and their standards, I would from us the highest respected, even though many jurisdiction Islamic countries they do not follow, but they have the highest respect for AUFI. And in terms of the practice, if I would say you can take the regulation in Malaysia. And recently, I have seen some conversion, like in a few conventional banks in Malaysia, they totally converted to fully Islamic banks. That is quite fine. And even the conventional banks, if they want to open Islamic, they should have to separate a new entity so that there is no commingling of fund. So which is I would say is quite transparent, okay, from this. And recently, the Indonesia also is emerging as Islamic finance country. They are also having introducing sukuk and shares. You also can look on them, inshallah. In the Middle East, there are Sharia. There are banks in terms of the Sharia, the opinions, they also quite fine. But in terms of the regulation, I think they are not as rigid and transparent like in Malaysia in terms of the practice. But you can also look at the Qatar's regulation and their guidelines. As I see in terms of the Sharia governance, like in Malaysia, we have 2 or 3 layers of Sharia supervision, one at the banks level and the national level. So that's, I think, can be a role model for others, inshallah. Okay, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Faruk, for this excellent presentation. And Alhamdulillah, we knew many things. I believe that all participants benefited and learned many things from your lecture. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this effort, this lesson, this time, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you, Dr. Farooq, for your time and effort. On behalf of our Islamic Economics Association of the Kuwait University, we would like to thank you very much for the last minute responding to our invitation. And this is great, and really, we are really thankful to you. And inshallah, in future, we are going to see you more and more. In fact, we are going to have another training in English, training in Islamic finance and principles, Islamic banks products, I guess. Inshallah, we'll announce it very soon, and it will be also conducted by Dr. Muhammad Faruk Abdullah and also Dr. Muhammad Sharif from Turkey. So we'll announce it very soon with the discussion and decision of our Director General, Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid, inshallah. So I believe that all participants will join this training program for 2 days. That English training program will be for 2 days and 8 sessions. So I believe that all participants will understand from the primary level to advanced level in Islamic banking and finance. So don't miss it, and you can also invite your friends, your colleagues to join the training program, inshallah. So we also thank all participants from around the world who join us today. And our thanks to the management of Islamic Economics Association and our Dr. Ala Al-Ubaid and all the brothers and coordinators in association, sisters. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you soon again in our coming programs, inshallah. If Dr. Farooq has any few words as concluding remarks, please.
Well, thank you very much to Dr. Mahiuddin and also to all the participants for their time to listen and to share their knowledge, and also to asking questions. And indeed, it was an honor and it was a pleasure to be here to share my knowledge. And I would like to apologize if there was any mistake or any shortcomings. And I look forward, inshallah, to meet you again and to share knowledge in the future, and pray for all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us during this time of pandemic, and also pray to Allah for the shifa for Dr. Mahiuddin. Hope you get well soon, inshallah. So with that, I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
With that, we conclude the session today here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.